morning, everyone, from this part of the world. It is 11:32 a.m. here from Nigeria. I want to welcome you to this briefing this morning, and it is titled the Pre-30 Days Poetry Challenge Briefing and Poetry Writing Class. I'm your facilitator, Dr. Tayo Letadi, and the theme for this 30 days challenge is 30 days, 30 poems, and one poet in you. So it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this pre-challenge briefing and briefly the poetry writing class. And thank you for accepting this challenge to journey with us in these 30 days of writing one poem per day. I want to tell you that it is a journey of creativity, it is a journey of discipline, it is a journey of imagination, and it is a journey of self-discovery. And throughout these 30 days, we are going to embark on a journey together to rediscover our creative capacity. So that is why we have said it's a moment of self-discovery. And I want to say that many people admire poetry over time. Many people see beautiful works of poetry and they feel it's good. But then, what is the work there before writing the poem, and after writing the poem? There's a process that has to begin. And that is the process that we are going to embark on in these 30 days of rediscovering our creative capacity. So there is a process between writing the poems and then publishing the poem. It's a whole lot of difference. There's a difference between becoming an aspiring poet and becoming a published poet. The journey has to start from aspiring. When you aspire, you get the vision. You put the vision, the mission into writing. Then after some processes, whether editing and mentoring, then you published your poem. So this challenge altogether, vividly, is designed to help you to cultivate that notion, that capacity to discover yourself and cultivate the heart of discipline in creativity. And so that is what we are going to do in these 30 days. It's a mission to accomplish writing a poem, one poem per day. And that is what we are going to do in this 30 days. And so at the end of these 30 days, you will not only have 30 original poems, but also a stronger poetic voice that will help you to build and create a greater confidence in your ability to express yourself. And that's what we are doing in these 30 days. But I want to briefly quote from Maya Angelou, that American poet, who said, "You can't use up your creativity. You can't. The more you use, the more you have it." So it's a process, it's a journey that will help you to discover your creative capacity. You cannot use it up. If you don't start using it, you will not know that you have it. So once you start to use that creative capacity in you, that ability in you, then the more you use it, it's like a well that keeps bringing up water. It's a spring that keeps bringing up water all the time. A spring that can never run dry. So that is why this morning I will guide you through the fundamentals of poetry and explain to you briefly how the challenge will work. Now, what is the vision of this 30 days challenge of writing a poem per day? The vision is very simple and the mission is very simple. The challenge is more than a writing exercise. We can write a lot of things apart from writing poems. You can write biography, autobiography, whatever. But this is a commitment to a personal and creative growth. And that is what we are doing within these 30 days. It's an opportunity to train yourself to think poetically, observe, because writing poetry, writing poems has to do with observation, because you have to observe your environment. So it's important with these 30 days that's going to start on August 1st to August 30th to observe deeply and to communicate your observation to the world. And very briefly, what are the objectives of this challenge? 1, to develop a daily writing habit. That is one of the objectives. What we are going to realize at the end of the day. Because writing is like exercising your muscle. you have to do it every day. Once you start doing it, you don't stop. It becomes a spring in you that begins to bring up water, that begins to bring up creativity all the time. So the more you write, the stronger you become. Now, the second objective is very simple: to improve your creativity. Once you start writing, you are improving. You are on a path to growth. You are on a path to developing yourself. Then the third one is to build confidence. You are able to build confidence about yourself, about your writing capacity. Because many people write poems, but they are afraid to put it out there so that people can see. Many of us are afraid of criticism. So within these 30 days, you build your confidence and you'll be able to get feedback. Because actually, feedback is not a rejection. Although we have had people who give you feedback, it seems like they abuse you, or it seems like they say that, oh, you cannot write a poem. No, do not set yourself back with that. Feedback is not a total rejection. Feedback is an avenue for you to improve yourself. And what we are also going to do, and one of the objectives, is to build a community of poets. We build a community within ourselves, where we feel free to express our emotion, where we feel free to write about things that are happening in our surroundings. And I want to say that there are many things we can write about. There are so many things, happening around us, injustices around us. What about the beautiful environment around us? So we can write about those things. And also to produce 30 original poems. And that is why I want to emphasize that within these 30 days, we are not going to give room for AI poems. Because of course, many people will go to AI help me to do this, help me to write this poem. And AI will do it. The moment we cite our eyes on any poem written by AI in this challenge of 30 days, we are going to strike it out. So please, as much as possible, be original. And that is why one of the objectives of this challenge is to produce 30 original poems written by yourself and not by AI. It's very important. And at the end of this challenge, I want to say that every participant should possess a personal collection of 30 poems. You should have your own collection of 30 poems, original poems, that you have done within these 30 days. And it's also an opportunity for you to publish your poems. You can do it. Those people that have done it before are not superhumans. You are also capable of doing it. Once your poems are original, they are original to you. They are not written by AI. They are not written by a third party. So within these 30 days, we expect that every participant will have 30 original poems. Now, to the second part of our discussion this morning. The second part is to discuss what poetry is and what poetry writing is. What can we write about? What should be our focus? Even beyond these 30 days of poetry writing challenge, I would like to start by saying, what is poetry itself? There are thousands of definitions of poetry. There are thousands definitions. But there is one important one I want to let you know this morning, and this one is from William Wordsworth. I would like to say it again. William Wordsworth. And he defined poetry as this: the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility. I want to take that again. The spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility. What is this spontaneity? Spontaneity has to do with something that is continuous, a continuous flow, something that cannot stop. And something that cannot stop means that something that is being done all the time, every day, every minute, every hour, every second. So it's spontaneous. It does not break. That is spontaneity. The spontaneous overflow of powerful emotions. As you know, poetry has to do with emotion. So there should be no break from that spontaneous overflow of powerful emotions. And what we do with that powerful emotion is to write it down. Because poetry is not like prose. Prose, of course, we can use many words. Drama, you can use many words. But poetry calls for condensed use of language. And you all know, like I used to say to my students, that there's a difference between ordinary milk and a condensed milk. A condensed milk, everything is packaged. A condensed milk is not watery. So, poetry is actually a condensed use of words. So, it is important. So, the other part of the definition of Wordsworth says, tranquility, recollected in tranquility, recollected in silence. And poetry thrives in silence. When an environment is silent, poetry seems to thrive in that place. Inspiration seems to thrive in tranquility, in quietness. And so that is why William Wordsworth is saying that poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility. So, poetry is beyond just putting words together. Poetry is a language arranged creatively to communicate emotion, imagination, truth, and beauty. So, like I said earlier, poetry differs from ordinary writing. It's not an ordinary writing. It's a condensed use of language. So, it is important to note that poetry uses few words to express something that can be written in prose as a genre of literature, in prose that should have been written in 3 or 4 pages. Poetry can use words to capture that moment in 2, 3, 4, or 5 lines, and that will be all. And by the time you are explaining, you are looking for meaning, of course, you will write about 4, 5 pages of commentary on just 4 lines of a poem. So it is important to emphasize that poetry is not like drama. Poetry is not like prose, where you have the means to use many words. And for example, instead of saying the man is very poor, that's an ordinary language use. The man is very poor. You can go ahead to say, if a poet will write it, one of the realizations of how a poet will write it is to say, his pockets had forgotten the sound of coins. His pockets had forgotten the sound of coins. Now, when you look at that statement, that line, you will discover that he's still saying the same thing as the man is very poor. So, it's important to note that poetry uses few words to explain what could have been written in even a booklet, a novel, a short novel. Poetry will make you that, will do that in just a few lines. So it is important that we know that. And so what has poetry done? Poetry has done a lot. Or let me ask, why do people write poetry? 1, to express our emotions, like I've said earlier, to preserve memories, to protest injustice, to celebrate culture, to worship God, of course, to inspire hope, to heal emotional wounds. Because when you write, your emotion is on the path of healing. Because the moment maybe you are passing through something, you are not able to say it to anybody, you can write it in a poem. And that heals your emotion at that particular moment. So, it also can be used to entertain audiences. You can use your poem to entertain audience. The audience can be entertained through performance. We have spoken words performance, and we're still going to get to that. Poetry can be used to educate the society. Poetry has changed nations, of course. There are poets that have written their poems, and even government of nations have called upon them. Come and explain what you have written. it seems you are talking about us. So it has challenged government. It has confronted the broken hearts. It has preserved history. So these are some of the things that poetry writing can do. So what are the elements of a good poem? What are the elements of a good poem? I'm going to run through that. Every poem contains important building blocks. You cannot build a whole house without an arrangement of structures. There are structures to be put in place before writing a poem. There are structures to be put in place before you can build a house. There are different structures to be put. Right from the foundation, there are things you must do. So what are the elements of a good poem? Number one, theme. I repeat myself again. Theme. Theme. Theme is the central focus of your poem. You must have something to write about. It's very important. And the question to ask yourself is, what am I writing about? What am I writing about? And there are things that you can write about, like I've said earlier. You can write about love. You can write about poverty. You can write about hope. You can write about identity. You can write about culture. You can write about death. You can write about corruption. You can write about peace. You can write about climate change. There are so many things going on in the world at the moment that you can write about. So there's no end to what you can write about. Whether you're writing poetry, whether you're writing drama, whether you're writing prose. So there's no end. It is limitless to what you can write about. So we have so many of them. Imagery is also another element of poetry that is very important. Imagery allows readers to see your words. For example, instead of saying the road was rough, you can write as a poet, the road wore potholes like old scars. You are still saying the road was rough. But with that, you have brought in an image of a pothole that can make a road to be rough. Because if there is pothole, actually the road cannot be smooth. So it is important that when we write our poems, the consciousness of using an imagery that captures the theme that we have in mind should be used. Then another important element is diction. Diction means choice of words. So you should choose your words carefully. Avoid unnecessary words. Another element is tone. Tone has to do with the poet's attitude. What is your attitude towards what you are writing? Is it calm? Is it joyful? Are you angry about the system? Are you mournful? Are you humorous about the system, what you are writing about? So it is important. Are you sarcastic of what is going on? So another element is rhythm. Rhythm is the musical flow of poetry. When you look at some of the hip-hop songs that we have today, there are hip-hop songs, of course, that illustrate this rhythm that Kaiki did in one of my classes on poetry. I told them to sing a particular song, and they sang the song, and we noticed the rhythm, the end rhyme, the internal rhyme. Symbolism is also another very important aspect of poetry writing that is good. Symbolism. Objects represent larger ideas, and that's where you can begin to talk about meaning. Meaning operates at two levels. We have the connotative meaning and the denotative meaning. In other words, we are talking about the surface meaning and deeper meaning. Meaning at the surface, meaning at the deeper level. So, for example, light as a symbol can represent hope. Chains can represent oppression, and so on and so forth. So, the title should also invite your readers to read your poem. Should be catchy. Avoid boring titles when you are writing your poem. Avoid it. It's important. Then, briefly, there are many forms of poetry. We have many of them. Fixed, free verse. Free verse does not use rhyme. There's no fixed rhyme or meter, whether iambic, pentameter, stress and unstressed syllable. You don't use that. So free verse will allow you to write without any condition of rules of writing, because of course there are rules of writing poetry. So we have lyric poetry. When you talk about it, very simply, lyrics simply means the words of a song. So a lyrical poetry is meant to be sung and performed. The lyric poetry, they're very short, usually short. We have narrative poetry, of course, tells a story. Characters and events are brought into the poem. We have haiku, which is Japanese form of 17 syllables. Simple, yet powerful. We have sonnet, which is a poem of 14 lines. We have different types of sonnets. Different types. We have a Petrarchan sonnet. We have Elizabethan sonnet of a Shakespearean sonnet. Of course, we have the spoken word that deals with performance. Performance. Written to be performed before an audience, where the audience will likely respond. We have praise poetry. In Yoruba, otherwise we call it panegyric. We call it in Yoruba oriki, which is also meant to be performed. So this praise poetry is often common in African tradition. So how do we find our ideas every day? Many beginners complain, I do not know what to write about. Like I said the other time, there is no limitation to what we can write about. So it's not true to say, I don't know what to write about. There are many things. Ideas are there. You can write about your childhood, your experiences during your childhood. You can write about your mother. You can write about your village. You can write about the weather. Something happened in Odotan yesterday. Flood everywhere. You can write about it. Festivals. You can do that. So lastly, what are the rules of this challenge? To ensure fairness and commitment every day, we have rules to this 30 days challenge of writing poetry. Write one original poem every day. Don't use AI. Submit your poem before the daily deadline. We have a deadline every day. Submit your poem before that deadline. Do not plagiarize. Do not copy other people's poems. Be consistent. And if you miss a day, should do not discourage you. You can still continue. Okay, there are habits you have to create, cultivate this time. Read poetry every day, read poems of other people. Write even when you do not have inspiration to write. There are many times it seems that your creative ability is blocked. Do not give up. Write. Whatever comes to your mind, write it. You revise your poem when you write. You wait for some minutes, for some hours, then you go back to the poem again, you revise it, remove words that are vague. Remove words that do not portray what you have in mind. You do that. Avoid cliches. Do not overuse expressions. There are mannerisms that we have as human beings. Do not put them into your poem. It makes your poem boring. Then, the daily writing prompts are there. We'll do that when the challenge starts. For example, maybe day 1, identity, day 2. It will run through the 30 days of our challenge. And it will be an interactive writing process where we'll write together. We'll criticize ourselves. And we are not going to allow any abusive language during this challenge. We want to motivate ourselves. And we want to make a commitment in this community that we are building together. Read your poem aloud. Use your Android phones to record them. Listen to yourself again. Then you celebrate your originality every day. So, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of these 30 days, you will have achieved something remarkable. 30 original poems, a deeper appreciation for language, and a stronger commitment to creative expression. I want to leave you with these words this morning. The first draft gives you a poem. Persistence gives you a poet. I want to repeat that again. The first draft gives you a poem. Persistence gives you a poet. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your enthusiasm, your willingness to embark on this journey with us. I look forward to reading your poems, witnessing your growth, and celebrating your success at the end of this challenge. Welcome to the 30 Days Poetry Challenge. Let the journey begin. I want to appreciate the management of IGN Media for their time and for giving us this space to express ourselves. Thank you very much. Welcome to the 30 Days Challenge. Let the journey begin. Thank you very much.